What's up, guys? Saf here on SuperSaf Speaks, and welcome to episode number 19 of the podcast with myself, your host, SuperSaf.
And your co-host, Thunder E from Borderwork.
And you will, if you're watching the video version of this podcast, you'll notice that I'm actually not wearing black for a change, which is not something you normally see, but it's a special day on the recording of this podcast. My home team, Leicester City, has won the FA Cup. So to celebrate that, I am wearing my LCFC top with pride. So well done, lads. And I'm not a huge sort of football fan, but I've always supported my home team, and it's always great to see them do well. So yeah, just in case you're wondering, what's going on with Saf? How come he's not wearing black?
It's okay. I'm an Arsenal fan. I always feel pain every year, but I'm happy that you are enjoying the day and Leicester won.
Thank you.
It's good to see. It's good to see.
Appreciate it. All right, guys, there's lots to talk about. This episode is a little bit delayed because last week was just crazy with lots of new device launches. So we've got some leaks. I don't want this podcast to become a leak podcast, but there's lots of new leaks which we need to cover. The Google Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. We've got some very high resolution renders to share with you guys and lots to talk about there. There's some crypto news. Elon Musk is really playing with crypto right now, and just it's going all over the place. Tesla no longer accepting Bitcoin as payment, so we'll talk about that too. As well as that, there's some social media news. So YouTube is introducing a $100 million shorts fund. And then Twitter, there's also some rumored new features with a subscription model that Twitter is also going to be introducing. Now, as well as that, there are some additional leaks that we'll finish off with. There's the Samsung Galaxy A22 5G, so we've seen some nice looking renders for that and some information. And finally, the potential M2 MacBook Air with lots of different color options. So lots and lots to talk about. The first thing we need to talk about are these Pixel 6 and 6 Pro renders. So now these are courtesy of John Prosser from Front Page Tech. And so to give you some background of how he got a hold of them, so he's got a source. Apparently, he's seen actual images and hands-on footage of these devices. But obviously, to protect the source, the inside source, they don't want to publish those directly. So instead, what they've done is they've actually made these renders based upon the images that they've seen, right? And it's interesting. Let me put it this way. I shared some of the pictures on Twitter, and there was, I would say, one of either two responses. There was either, wow, I absolutely love it. It looks different. It's cool. And then the other was, it's trash. Put it in the bin, right? It was, I don't think I've seen something like this for a long time where people either absolutely love it or absolutely hate it. Okay? So, I'm going to ask you first because I'll tell you what I think shortly. But what are your initial impressions of the design?
I'm actually in the middle, which is very few compared to everybody else, because design-wise it's different and striking, which I like. But also, again, it's Google, which I'm not sure. And I think for those people, I think it's going to be in the middle, because I think for the people who really like it, they'll see it and go, yes, I like it, but it's still maybe a little bit untraditional for them. And then for the people who don't like it, will actually see it in person and say it's not so bad. And I think that's where this design is eventually going to end up. But again, I'm just happy that Google has given us something different, new, and it's looking more premium from what John Prosser said in his video about materials and what he saw. So I'm happy with that, at least off the bat.
So I see your points there. I like it, I'll be honest, because it's different. And I like different, okay? We've seen lots of smartphones looking very similar these days, but when you look at something like the S21 series, I like that camera module that kind of blends into the sides. It was nice, it was unique, right? And with this, we've got this strip. Now, it's not entirely different. I mean, some people are saying it gives those Daft Punk vibes, right, from the artwork. And a lot of people were tagging me saying, Saf, it's going to be fun to see your thumbnail approach in this. So just do bear with me for that one, because I'm sure there's going to be lots of fun there. But some people were saying it kind of looks like a bit like what TCL have done, right? So TCL 10 had a strip, right?
Yeah.
And others are saying the Nexus 6P, right? remember the bigger one that Huawei made? Do you remember that? So you had that strip. So they're kind of getting those vibes, right? This is a little bit different to those because it's actually a camera module that raises up throughout the strip. I think it's quite interesting. I'm looking forward to checking it out. From the front, it looks pretty good as well. We've got small uniform bezels from what we know. And this is something that Google has done. I think they did that really well with the Pixel 5, for example, where the bezels might not be the smallest bezels, but they're uniform, completely uniform across all sides, which is something that looks really nice. And then as well as that, they're likely to have Google's own silicon, which we've talked about before, codenamed Whitechapel. So with this whole package, this new fresh design, it looks like Google's trying to make a statement, right? Because they've got this new chipset, it looks like if they've got this big camera module, maybe they're changing the hardware of the cameras as well, right? And by having this fresh new design, they kind of make a statement that, look, these are the new Google Pixels.
Yeah, I mean, will they have periscopic zoom? Because now you've got a bigger stretch to kind of create that in. And the most important question to me is, will they advertise? Because they don't. And because I was going to say, will they buy? But it doesn't matter about buying; it's about advertising, really. So hopefully they do that.
I mean, it depends on the type of advertising, because I remember when some of the Pixels came out, especially the Pixel 3A, we had massive billboards all across London, right? So, in Shoreditch, you go in there and you see a massive billboard, and it's kind of showing the low light comparison between the iPhone, because at the time, the iPhone at the time didn't have night mode, right? So it's kind of showing, here's what you can capture with this $350 device versus the iPhone. So I wonder, I don't know how it is in the US.
No, I mean, it's not the billboard ads. That to me is not advertising. That's still chicken change. I think it's a matter of proper advertising. So when Samsung decided to take on Apple, they spent $1 billion, and they spent it well. That's what I mean by you have to commit. I'm not talking about sprinkling through things left and right. You have to do traditional, untraditional influencers, different mixes, but you have to continue. You have to do a follow-up, and like Samsung does it, right? Samsung announced recently that they're doing like a TV series with featuring like some scenes will be shot with the S21 Ultra.
Nice.
It's stuff like that you have to spend money on, right? It may not be big, but it gets someone's attention, and people, once you keep reminding people, that's how people go, you know what, let me try the Pixel this year. Let's see what we get. And that's what I mean by spending money.
It's looking exciting. It looks like it'll also have an in-display fingerprint scanner, something Google hasn't really done. They've stuck with the back fingerprint scanner, which honestly I don't mind because it is really quick. But yeah, in-display fingerprint scanner, which just makes it
back needs to go. I'm sorry, I'm done with it. That's the past.
I'm in the middle there because I actually don't mind that, but an in-display fingerprint scanner really kind of brings it up to date with what everybody else is doing. All right, Elon Musk, that guy. So he's been in the news a lot in the crypto scene. He tweeted this out earlier. Tesla and Bitcoin. Tesla has suspended vehicle purchasing using Bitcoin. We are concerned about rapidly increasing use of fossil fuels for Bitcoin mining and transactions, especially coal, which has the worst emissions of any fuel. Cryptocurrency is a good idea on many levels, and we believe it has a promising future, but this cannot come at great cost to the environment. Tesla will not be selling any Bitcoin, and we intend to use it for transactions as soon as mining transitions to more sustainable energy. We are also looking at other cryptocurrencies that use under 1% of Bitcoin's energy transaction. Right now, he also shared a graph which shows the increase of Bitcoin's electricity consumption over the years, and you can see there's a big spike in around 2020 where Bitcoin really did kind of take off, and the estimated value that was wiped off the cryptocurrency exchange was reported to be around $365 billion. So
he's useless. I'm gonna say that right now. I'm not even gonna pull punches on this one. I've been pulling punches on Elon Musk for a while, but I'm tired. He is. I'm sorry. When they bought Bitcoin to add
Yeah.
into their coffers at 1.5 million, he knew. Everybody knows. So that statement to me says that there is something else. I've heard rumors. I've heard different things from different people, and I've seen from different people. I'm not going to say the rumors because, of course, I have no substantial basis for it. But to me, it makes no sense when everyone knows. Anyone who barely knows about crypto, at least well enough, understands how much Bitcoin takes in terms of energy mining. So why did you buy it in the first place? So the only thing I can think of is because after that tweet, he also put up a tweet stating that he's working with Doge to improve their performance. This is literally market manipulation. I'm sorry. That is all it is.
Okay.
That is
So
straight up all it is.
no, I agree with you there. So here's the thing. I totally agree because somebody that's as smart as him, I mean, surely he knew before buying 1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, with Tesla, right? And obviously, after they announced it, that shot the price up of Bitcoin, and now he drops this, and then it dropped like significantly, like 30%, or was it 30%? I can't remember. Anyway, it was massive. Yeah, it was a big amount, right? And a lot of people are like, "Can I scream?" Because, but there's a few things here, right? So yeah, there's that element of it, right? And then the market manipulation that you're talking about. So crypto, the market manipulation aspect, it's not regulated right now, is it? So you can't really do anything about that. So obviously, if you were to market manipulate the stocks and shares market, right, then you could, face some backlash. But with this, you can kind of get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, he tried this also when when Tesla stock was going through its rise. The SEC he's been in trouble with the SEC a couple of times. I think he paid a fine once. I can't remember specifically. There was a period of time when Tesla stock was going up almost 1,000. He said it was too much, and he brought the price down. And everyone was pissed. I mean, I own Tesla stock. And at that time, I was like, what's going on? And Tesla stock still went past 1,000. But then again, now I'm thinking about it, especially looking at their last financials, is that if they had gone past 1,000 the first time, when they didn't, that means that rally would have continued to have almost hit 2,000, right? Because the rally just kind of continued, even though he tried to stop it. At $2,000 per share, they would have to prove what's the value of the share at 2,000. So a prime example is Amazon. Amazon is priced about 3,500. I could be wrong, but I know the last time I checked was a couple of days ago or so. It was about 35. If you can check, that would be great. But Amazon, you can literally see the value of what Amazon brings in terms of just products, services, what it covers, the amount of money, all that stuff. With Tesla, this last quarter, they made a profit, and that profit came from Bitcoin, did not come from the vehicles they sold. So that points to the fact that, look, if their stock price was too high, he was trying to manipulate. So with this one, with crypto, he can sway things, and there's a lot of pump and dump in crypto, aka a lot of new tokens or coins come up, people hype it up, they reach out to what do you call it again, influencers, and like you get on TikTok and it's just like, you need to buy this Doge, buy SafeMoon, buy Shiba Inu, this and that, another dog coin, this and because they're really cheap, it's penny stocks all over again. If anybody knows and understands that, you can make money. And the thing is that it's not like you can't make money, right? But it is so risky. The only benefit is that because if you got in early, really early, when the stock is at the token or coin is at 0.001 or 5 zeros then a 1, then you're fine because you put in $500, or even if you put 1,000, even if you put 2,000, you're most likely never going to lose that money, because by the time it just skips 2 zeros, the amount of stock you own will equal to about $10,000 or something like that, if you put in $1,000. So this is what a lot of people are doing because it's a very quick way to generate. And my feeling is with Doge, because again, he came out with that tweet afterwards, I changed my whole perception, is he has a lot of money tied into Doge and he wants Doge to hit $1. And that will put him way past Jeff Bezos, way past, if he were to cash it out. The reason I say that is, the other thing that happened in crypto this week was Vasily, I believe that's his name. I probably mispronounced it, but one of the founders of Ethereum, sold a lot of Doge Shiba Inu, and all the dog coins, and that crashed those stocks as well. But he donated about 1.5 billion to
India.
to India, to a lot of charities in India, right? Here's the thing that there were many sides to this. One, people were really pissed because a lot of crypto people like to hold their coins because they just feel like the value will go on constantly. So those people were pissed. The other half is that he was able to just literally wake up, sell a bunch of coins, basically converted Shiba into Ethereum, and because with crypto you can watch where the money is going in his wallet, how he did it, and then sell it off, and then he just donates it, which is great, but also shows the amount of power he has because he sold his dog coins. He didn't sell his Ethereum that he actually owns himself. So I have no idea what this guy's holding in terms of Ethereum, right? He could.
So this is the thing, because it's such a a lot of people are kind of talking about the whole cryptocurrency situation. They're comparing it to the .com boom, right? Where there's a lot of these penny stocks, and people are kind of pumping and dumping a lot. But the thing is with Bitcoin, you mentioned some of those influences, and I would say arguably Elon Musk right now is the most influential person in the world right now, because if he can wipe off $365 billion off the crypto market with one tweet, I mean, it just shows the amount of power he has, right? Now, when you've got people like this, and the one of the founders of Ethereum, when you've got people like this in power, the market can be so volatile. It's almost like gambling, right? Because you just don't know what's going to be happening, because it could just go up and down. So, we always emphasize this, but I want to emphasize it again. Be very careful with what you invest. We're not saying don't invest, and I'm still getting there, but he's been investing for some time. It's definitely a good space to be in, but be very careful, because especially with these influencers, because Philip DeFranco actually called them out, and he put out a tweet, because there's lots of influencers who obviously are getting paid for this, or they're manipulating the market because they have influence, right? So maybe they've got a few million followers. They're like, okay, pump this Shiba Inu so that they'll buy $100,000 worth of this, worthless stock, right, or this crypto. They'll pump it up to a point where that 100,000 is now worth $1 million for them. They'll drop it and then they walk away, right? Now, Who's actually paying for all of that? Everybody who's kind of followed them and pumped the coin up. There's going to be some winners, but there's going to be a lot of losers.
Yeah. I mean, this is actually the opposite to me of GameStop. Because remember, with GameStop, those guys were shorting, but they also had a Discord group where the communication to the group was cohesive. Hey guys, we're gonna stick together. And when we're selling, we sell. When we're holding, we're holding. That's pretty much it. And you can say whatever you want about it, but to me, that was a more organized and at least very sensible. If I'm going to do it, we're all going to do it together. And we're, as opposed to, we don't know when any of these influencers got in. We don't know how much, any of the coins or tokens that they have. And some may disclose that, I have some of the tokens, but you don't know how much, at what price they bought it at. They could have bought it at 0.0000001 and they're telling you now, which is cool, but at that point they're already rich from just tokens. So
be careful, because remember, at the .com boom, you didn't have this influence. You didn't have these social media influencers who could just go out and tweet something and boost up a stock or a coin or whatever it is to that point and then drop it as well. There wasn't that instant, immediate level of influence that there is now, right? And this is the thing. It's a very different market, and again, I just want to emphasize that you got to be careful. But it's crazy that somebody can have that much influence. We talk about the word influencer quite a bit, right? And I think that's the definition of an influencer, right? Somebody who can really manipulate that level of money just like that with a tweet. It's insane. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely insane. What a time to be alive.
Indeed.
Okay, let's move on to some social media news. YouTube Shorts. So YouTube Shorts, if somebody doesn't know already, is basically a TikTok clone, is the best way that I can describe it. So it's TikTok, but on YouTube. YouTube obviously saw the opportunity when TikTok was banned in India last year, and they really got together and made sure they got this short form video, vertical videos under a minute onto YouTube, and it started off in India. So it's rolled out in India. Now it's rolling out in the US, and then it's going to be in the rest of the world, right? The issue with YouTube Shorts is that you can't really monetize the content, right? Because it's too short to have any ads.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, he knows. It's too short to have any ads. And how do you incentivize creators to make shorts, right? So YouTube is like kind of pushing a lot towards shorts, but I guess there's not been that much of an uptake as they were hoping for, because even a lot of TikTokers, their sort of aim, and this is something that I'll speak to Marquez about, is that all of the TikTokers want to be YouTubers because TikTok doesn't pay that well. Sure, if you've got brand deals, they can pay well, but generally, if we're looking at the model, YouTube is the only platform that has a model where you can get monetized without having to have any brand deals, because it's the advertising model, right? But that doesn't apply to shorts. So now YouTube has tried to address this with a fund of $100 million. So they just announced this a few days ago. We're introducing the YouTube Shorts Fund, a $100 million fund distributed over the course of 2021 and 2022. And they kind of talk about how they've been rolling out in India and the US. And since Shorts is a new way to watch and create on YouTube, we've been taking a fresh look at what it means to monetize and reward creators for their content. Today, we're sharing the latest updates here and continue to build Shorts alongside our community and creators and artists, right? So it's a $100 million fund, 2021, 2022, and it's not limited to just creators. So, not limited to creators of the partner program. Creators will be eligible to participate if they create original content for Shorts and adhere to our community guidelines. We'll share additional details as we get closer to launching the fund in the next couple of months, okay? So, Shorts. So, E had a big sigh because myself and E both have a Shorts channel. I gotta say, I think I was the first tech channel to have a Shorts channel. So SuperSaf Shorts, and then you've got Board Shorts, which Thunder has. And how much have you made from that channel so far?
Let me just say that YouTube owes me roughly $13 million. Because I have a video.
You have a video that really popped.
So I've made this amount. If you're watching, I'm holding my hand as 20. So I've made $0 from it. And funny enough, as we mentioned, I have a video that has 15 million views on Shorts. So, which is more than I have ever done on my own channel as well. I mean, I think the highest on my channel is about 7 million for my highest viewed video. And I don't expect to make tons of money, but like it's frustrating when you go like nothing. And also it wasn't even the financial part, it's the fact that it doesn't add to the subscribers on the short channel. So it doesn't drive
translate. TikTok does. TikTok, if you have a viral video, you'll get loads of followers come through, right? With Shorts, you can get a viral video, and then the actual conversion rate of those followers to subscribers is very, very minimal. So that's something that I think YouTube definitely needs to work on.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think that's the thing where it's a bit discouraging now, where to the point where my Shorts, if you go to my channel, I haven't really updated as much. I do update my TikTok constantly as much as possible, even though I don't enter anything from TikTok. And I think that's the thing that YouTube, honestly, they really copied without looking. That's literally what they did, because you and I have talked about this. Like, you go on TikTok, the beauty of TikTok is that you enjoy being on TikTok, even just watching content. Like, you see other people's content, people get really creative. The problem with Shorts, Reels, and that whole thing, it's literally us dumping everything we've done on TikTok over there.
Yeah.
And that's just the honest truth, is that we just don't have, number one, time. If you're a full-time creator like us, you don't have enough time to be recreating content for each platform. So you have to kind of copy across. But two, YouTube Shorts is literally an afterthought. And until they fix that, the creator fund will be, it's helpful for creators. And, a lot of creators who've made some really good content is good, but they need to fix the social aspect of it.
It depends as well, because like you've got $100 million over 2021, 2022, right? That's a decent amount of time. And $100 million seems like a lot, okay? But when you're distributing that across literally thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of creators, right? How is that going to be split? Firstly, And how much is that going to be? Because it's not going to. Is it going to be relative? Because if it's relative, there's a lot of shorts content out there. Are you going to make like just a few dollars? Is it going to be worth it? Because I know Snapchat has this sort of model which has actually worked really well for a lot of Snapchat creators, and they're making thousands of dollars. But the way I kind of saw YouTube Shorts for me personally was, okay, look, I can build that channel up, right, and then I can offer that to sponsors. So, when I'm kind of offering a package, so it's like, hey, look, you can have a TikTok, which will also be on Instagram Reels and also be on YouTube Shorts. So that's the kind of way I was approaching it in my head in terms of how to monetize that. But if the audience isn't growing there as quickly as other platforms, like, TikTok and Instagram is, then that kind of defeats the object. So I think before the fund, I think, YouTube needs to make it so that it's easier to convert viewers from Shorts into subscribers, and that will also encourage people, not just the money.
I have an answer. Take away YouTube Stories. It's pointless. No, I'm serious. No, replace it with Shorts. Let Shorts become the new stories for YouTube, and funnel it that way. Because right now on YouTube, right, I think for most creators, the thing you use the most after you create a YouTube video is a community tab. Mm-hmm. That is probably the second highest thing you would use. YouTube Stories, not so much. Like, I don't even see, even the people who I know used to post a lot of stories, like Andrew Edward. Andrew Edward was king of that. He would post multiple stories, and he stopped. Because again, it makes no sense for you to do that. There's nothing driving there, and the interaction with your audience is also really bad.
Okay, so I think you mentioned a good point, because I think Marquez was talking about this on his podcast, right? He's like, it kind of seems like YouTube just throws these features out there, but they don't really kind of maintain it and push it to a point where it actually becomes viable. And we are kind of stuck as creators investing lots of time into these beta tests that YouTube is doing, and we end up wasting a lot of time.
That's what Google is known for. I mean, it's a Google company.
So we're kind of like testing all of these features out for them essentially, and wasting our time for something which may not really kind of materialize into anything that's actually useful for us in the long term. And one of the things that Marquez mentioned, which was a really good point, and this is one of the reasons why I've not posted any shorts on my main channel, is that I know the audience is going to be very different. There's audiences that want to watch short, quick content, and there's audiences that want to watch, longer form content, which they come onto YouTube for. Now, if you mix up your content by posting shorts as well as longer content, then you kind of have two different sets of audience, which actually could have a negative impact on your channel going forward, right? So that's the reason why a lot of creators are not posting shorts on their main channel. They're creating a new channel altogether, like me and you have done. Yeah. So I think it's a positive sign that they've got this $100 million fund, but we'll have to really see how that's distributed, or if it's just going to be one of those gimmicks that is not going to last, right? I think right now YouTube is very keen to push shorts just because of how much of the market for short form content TikTok has, and we've seen Instagram kind of come in as well. I think if they encourage creators not only monetarily, if that's the right word, but also by distributing their content and also making it easier to convert those viewers into subscribers. Because I don't mean to be picking on your numbers, but you had 13 million views on a video, right? 13 or 15 million.
It's at 15 now.
Okay, how many subscribers do you have on that Shorts channel?
So I'll give you the weird numbers with it, right? When it hit 10 million, I was still at 1,000 subscribers.
Okay, so that doesn't make any sense.
By the way, yeah. That now I'm at 8 million. I'm sorry, I wish I'm 8,000, and I have 50 million in that video. Makes zero sense whatsoever.
So it's kind of increasing, and obviously when you've got more. But if that was on TikTok, I guarantee you'd have had at least 50,000 subscribers. At least, right? Easy. Because you're just looking at those kind of numbers that when you've got those, you're going to get a small percent of conversions, right? Okay, even if it wasn't like 50,000, even if it was like 10, 20,000, right? It'd be like, okay, something's happening
I mean, pure math statistics says that I should get 1%. And that's not even the correct statistic. It should be higher than 1. But even if it was 1%, that's more than the amount on the channel itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Just pure statistics.
So YouTube, if you're listening, then that's our advice, as well as the creator fund, also make it easier to convert. So then that way we can also look at other options.
one more thing I think YouTube needs to do, and I think this has been the problem with YouTube constantly, and they haven't fixed this. YouTube needs a proper messaging platform, and I think that is what is missing from YouTube. And I really think this is what connects everything around, because without that messaging backbone, remember with Instagram, there's DMs, right? So you really can connect with people. Even if somebody sends you a message and you can go like, oh, thanks, man, I love it. Thanks for supporting, right? It's a very direct, personal message. Same thing with TikTok. You've got DMs as well. But even the way the comments are set up is so much fun in those comments. It's only YouTube where the comment sections are now is one thing, and you can't translate that into stories and shorts when you have no proper messaging around. There's no way to communicate.
That's another. We need to get a wish list together and kind of sit down with YouTube and say, look, this is what you guys need to do. So YouTube, hit us up. Our rates are reasonable, somewhat. Anyway, in other social media news, okay, so Twitter. There's a report that Twitter may be working on something called Twitter Blue. So we have YouTube Red we had, which is now just called YouTube Premium, but we had YouTube Red, but now this is Twitter Blue, a subscription service that would cost $2.99 a month, right? App researcher Jane Manchun Wong uncovered new details, right? So Twitter recently, they've been doing lots of new stuff, and props to them. We've got Twitter Spaces. They've also created a tip jar. They've also got full-size images without a crop, so more vertical size images on mobile. So they've been doing some stuff, but so this developer has actually managed to find some more information, and she said that it will cost $2.99 a month and will include an undo tweets feature and bookmark collections, right? Wong says it appears Twitter is working on a tiered subscription model, which could mean a less cluttered premium experience for the highest paying subscribers. Okay. Now, it's not fully clear what this undo button will do. Like, what is it going to do? Is it just going to delete a tweet? Is it? Because to me, like, okay, if you're going to charge me $3 a month and you're going to allow me to edit tweets, take my money. I'm happy to pay that, right? But it doesn't look like it's an edit button. Like
no, it's a wiping out mistake tweet. This is when I saw the undo. It's not edit, right? I don't think it's going to allow you to go in and edit. But this is for the celebrity that makes a tweet and then realizes, what did I just say? Yeah, okay. You hit undo, then it just wipes it out from everyone's viewing. Unless you screen captured it, then of course it's screen captured. But
so we're talking about like if somebody's quote tweeted that or something like that. And,
exactly. Yeah.
But I mean that doesn't make any sense, because if you delete the tweet, then even if somebody's kind of quoted it or whatever or retweeted it, it removes itself anyway. So I mean, it wouldn't make any sense for me personally. I was like, okay, I don't need $3 a month to do that. You know what I mean?
No. I mean, but I think it's so the way I looked at it, I first had the same thought process as you. But then I realized this is going for a different clientele, at least some of those features. We don't know I think there's going to be more features, but I think it's for businesses. Imagine, you tweeting out from iPhone with a Galaxy. Undo that thing quick, immediately. That's the kind of stuff that they want, right?
Yeah.
The folders and stuff like that. I think it's more for some of those clientele than necessarily us. But what extra features we'll see, they might also add that edit button later on. Again, you don't want to release that immediately. You kind of want to build up. If you see people are kind of going like, they let you go, all right, here's the edit button.
Okay, here's a question. How much would you pay a month for an edit button?
$2.99. It's fine.
Is that it?
I mean, I definitely need it.
You definitely need it just for your spelling mistakes.
Yeah, I do.
I would pay $9.99 a month. Like I would comfortably like because of the amount I use Twitter. Like even today, I tweet something out and I missed out using the actual trending hashtag. So then the tweet actually picked up, and I was like, oh man, I forgot to actually include the trending hashtag. And I was like, oh, forget it, whatever, right? If I could just go in like I can do and just edit that, add it on, that would have so much more reach, and that message that I have, which I want it to reach as many people as possible, would then be able to do that, right? And if Twitter were like, look, you can have an edit button, but it's $9.99, I'd say you are mother lovers for charging for this feature, but I will pay it.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. I think for us, it's justifiable because it's a business expense.
Yeah.
We always have to. We have to. That's why I say I'm thinking of it from me as just a user. It's not worth more than literally 99 cents.
No, but for a user, it doesn't really matter because if you're that invested into Twitter, right? If you're that invested, so for example, right now, I'm very invested into YouTube, so I pay, £12.99 pounds a month for YouTube Premium, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now that's something that I pay because of I know I'm getting my value because I spend a lot of time on Twitter. On YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube and I don't want to be sitting through ads all the time, right? And because I'm so invested in the platform, I'm like, sure, £13 a month, whatever it is. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's fine. I don't mind paying that. In the same way, I'm somebody who uses Twitter quite heavily. I tweet, on average 2 to 3 times a day, right? And that's something I wouldn't mind to, the bookmarking seems quite good as well because, sometimes if you don't want to like a tweet in particular, you might just want to bookmark it to come back to it or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I like that feature as well, but just give me an ability to edit tweets because right now the undo is not making sense to me. I don't know, maybe Twitter will announce it and explain it properly when it does officially come out, and we'll be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But at this point in time, it is not making any sense to me whatsoever, right? If it's like an undo feature where you can within a couple of minutes of posting a tweet, you can quickly change something on it, or not the traditional edit as we would have on other platforms. And I kind of get why they don't have the full edit feature either, because obviously you could tweet out something political and, get loads of people to kind of share it and retweet it, and then you could change it to the opposition or something like that. And then people have retweeted something that you've said, which wasn't what they intended to share.
You see, that is why I think Twitter doesn't necessarily want to do the edit button. Because the undo button means you posted it or you didn't. That's why I actually prefer it, because now you mentioned that, I really thought about it. It's especially with the last 4 years we had, right? With all the fake news from Trump and his supporters. Imagine they having the ability to edit stuff left and right, right?
Okay.
Then there's
there's
that argument where that will come into play.
But the other side of the argument is have a feature where it's a minute or 30 seconds even, right? You tweet something out, okay, and you realize you've made a mistake. You quickly press edit, and you have a window, right? You have a window to edit,
I can see a window, yeah.
And the other thing as well is what you'd have, for example, on Facebook right now, if you edit a caption, you can actually see the previous edit, right? So it gives you a history,
there you go.
right?
Yeah.
So then if somebody was to do that and try to use it maliciously, it's just hey, I can actually see the history of your tweets because this is what you tweeted the first time. Now, if it's something simple where, you missed out a hashtag that you were supposed to include, or you misspelled something, because sometimes you misspell something and then literally your tweets are just flooded with somebody just pointing out that mistake, and you're like, man, you just ruined the whole thing about this tweet. So this is what I'm kind of saying, okay, a premium feature, I understand the point of, because by the way, E, have you noticed, so on YouTube, this has happened to me a couple of times, I've noticed, right? You upload a video, you get, your core supporters who jump on and, give you lots of good messages. A lot of them are just after a heart, okay? Now, I've had this in the past, and I noticed this once. There was a sneaky mother lover, right? I hearted the comment because he said, oh, it's a great video, this and that, right? And then I came back later and I found that what he had done then is, because it was hearted, the comment, and it had really been pushed up, he then edited the comment and put a link to something that he wanted to push. And I was like, you sly mother lover, how dare you? And then I deleted his comment, right? Now, obviously, I wouldn't normally notice that. It was just I happened to come across it again, right? But I wouldn't normally notice that. And I do understand that. But I think, again, if there's a time limit and there's a history of what the edits are, it's totally feasible. And if that means I have to pay $2.99 or whatever a month for that, I'll be happy to pay. Let's see. Again, okay. we're kind of speculating right now because obviously we have a limited amount of information. But it'll be interesting. Twitter is, I'm not going to lie, it's one of my favorite platforms. It's a really good way for me to engage and push out messages and just talk about stuff that's trending. So yeah, I do like Twitter, and it'd be nice to have it a little bit better.
All right, cool.
Okay, now we want to move on to some more leaked news, and we have the Samsung Galaxy A22 5G. So this is on 91 mobiles. We've seen some renders of it, and we've also got some leaked information. So there's supposedly going to be two models. There's going to be a 4G model, there's going to be a 5G model, right? Both of them are going to have a 6.4-inch display, but according to this, the 4G model is going to have an AMOLED display, whereas the 5G model is going to have an LCD display, okay? The 4G model is going to have the MediaTek Helio G80, whereas the 5G model is going to have the MediaTek Dimensity 700.
Yeah.
For the cameras, the 4G model is going to have a 48 megapixel primary camera. It looks like it's 5 megapixel, potentially ultra wide, and then two 2 megapixel cameras, which are pointless. And then the 5G model is going to have 3 cameras. It's not going to have 4, so it's going to have a 48 megapixel primary camera, 5 megapixel, but then it's only going to have one of those, useless 2 megapixel cameras. One thing that is going to be similar on both is going to have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery with 15 watt fast charging. Now, just taking a look at some of these renders, I mean, it's a very simple sort of design. It's likely to have a plastic back, of course. We've got a few different color options available. There's a square camera module. It's a nice, simple design. And for the screen, we can see a bit of a notch. It's more of a teardrop on the 4G model, I believe. And it's more of a, just like a little punch knot. It's not punch out, sorry. It's just it's like more of a cut out notch. I don't know how to explain it. You can see it on screen if you're watching the video.
Yeah. It's. I'd say you're right.
Yeah. So you've got slight variations in the 4G and 5G model, but yeah, I mean, the Samsung A series, it's so funny because, we don't cover as many Samsung A series devices. I'm hoping to be covering more. Sorry, guys. They're so popular. They're so popular, especially in places like Brazil, and a lot of users who, really cannot afford those premium flagship devices. And we've talked about this before, where you have these, premium flagships like the S21 series, but they don't actually sell the most. It's the lower end devices that actually sell the most in terms of numbers, right? The S21 series kind of like gets the attention, the headlines, but then when it actually comes to the distribution, it's usually the A series, right? And I've had a few friends kind of contact me in the past saying, oh, I want a phone for $200, right? And you're kind of looking at the options, and you've got lots of, Realme's, you've got TCL. There's so many of these budget phone options which offer you a lot of bang for your buck. Infinix is a new one that's coming up on the market. But then a lot of people are kind of just familiar with Samsung. So they're just like, oh, I just want another Samsung, right? And this is where the A series comes in. So, initial impressions for me, I think, they look pretty promising. We don't really have much information around price, but I think these are going to sell us like hotcakes.
I think in terms of price, since this is the A22, the A32, if I'm not mistaken, is currently priced at around 250.
Okay.
So this should be a sub $200 phone.
Yeah, so we're looking at around the $200 mark. It might be just around a little bit more, maybe 229 or something like that. But that's still really good.
So the A32 5G is currently priced at $279.
Okay.
So you're looking at something that, will be the 4G version will be definitely under 200, and maybe the 5G version might be 220, 210, maybe just a little bit shy up there, which is good. I like the simple design, and I think you can still see some of that Galaxy design language, not much, but just some of it in there. And it grows as you get to the A52 and the A72. Then it really feels like a Galaxy device. And the one thing I would say with the A series line, in comparison to all the other competitors you mentioned, is Poco gives a bang for the buck. You have devices that have like an $800 series chipset from Qualcomm. Samsung has decided to bring a lot of the Samsung balance to the device. So you pick up an A series, you're like, yeah, it feels like a Galaxy software-wise. Okay, I get it. It may not be as powerful as some of the others, but the feeling is there. And I think they're riding that wave. And a lot of people like the A series. The A50 is their best selling device, period. For Samsung. So I think they realize that they can make more in that area. And then also a lot of people now, also times are hard. Like, give people a bang for a buck, they'll definitely appreciate it.
No, totally. And I mean, they look promising. The one thing that I don't like, and this is something I've said many times before, is I don't like it when there's a device that is just called 5G, right? Which, from a consumer point of view, appears that it's all it is the same device but with 5G, right? But then it's a different device. There's like slightly different display. There's maybe different camera setup. There's And I don't like that. I mean, I think you should name it something different because, yes, you might have the A22, but then, you might want to call it the A23. I don't know, right? Okay, because
Yeah.
then that indicates to you that it's a different device. Because this is something that I think Google, really made a mess up of because you had the Google Pixel 4a and then you had the Google Pixel 5 and then you had the Google Pixel 4a 5G, which kind of, to a lot of people on the face of it, it's just like, oh, that's just a 4a with 5G. I don't want to pay $200 more for that or whatever it was, right? But then when you actually look at it, it was closer to the 5. So it was more like a Google Pixel 5,
Yeah.
Again, I don't know what the naming is, but like for me, 4a
Google
5G.
Pixel 4.5. That's really what it was.
I mean, what that's what it was, right? So then I just think the naming of, and it's happening a lot, right? Because, I recently covered some Realme devices and a lot of people were saying, oh, there's a Realme 8, there's a Realme 8 Pro. Okay, so there's a difference there because we've got the Pro device, we've got the 8. But then you've got the Realme 8 5G, which is not just the Realme 8 with 5G. It's a very different device, right? But to people, to customers, it's not that clear because you look at a device, you see the word 5G on top of it. You're just like, because 5G is not, 5G is a technology which, refers to connectivity. It doesn't necessarily mean that you've got a better screen, to consumer. So my message to all manufacturers would be, if you've got a 5G device which just has 5G, OnePlus had that. They had the OnePlus, when they initially introduced 5G, the OnePlus 8 they had, OnePlus 7, and they had the OnePlus 7 5G. And the OnePlus 7 5G was literally that. It was a OnePlus 7 with 5G, okay? Maybe they had a slightly different color, that's fine. You don't really need something different for that. But if you've got fundamental features like the screen, like the camera, and, charging, etc., that's different, then it should be named accordingly, in my opinion.
No, I agree. Yeah.
That's all he's gonna say. The man of a few words. So manufacturers, if you're listening, stop naming your devices 5G unless they are literally offering that as an additional feature. Okay, the final thing we're going to talk about today is again, this is from John Prosser on Front Page Tech. We've seen some leaked renders of the new MacBook Airs. Okay, so we've had the M1 MacBook Airs. They've been hugely popular. The performance on those devices with the M1s, I mean, and the battery life, it's been really good. But one of the things that we've had with the MacBook Airs is, they're pretty standard in terms of the color. You've got the silver, you've got your space gray, you've got your gold, but I mean that's it, right? Now, Apple seems to be taking a different approach, and we see some of the recent iPads. You've got lots of different color options, as you do with the new M1 powered MacBook, the iMacs, right? So it looks like they're also going to be bringing this over to the MacBook Airs. Now, it's likely that these are going to be coming on later on in the year, so just keep that in mind. It's not like they're going to be coming straight away, so we're looking potentially a good few months away, but these early leaks kind of show us a few of the different color options. And there's a few things to note here. So looking at the video from John Prosser, white bezels at the front, okay? So that's something that I'm definitely not cool with, right? So I hope they don't do this. Again, we're speculating right now because this is based on early rumors. It might change. But what is with this white bezel situation that Apple is going for? Because, look, if you're looking at a screen and it's got black bezels, they kind of fade away. You don't notice them. Your eyes don't pick those up, okay? So that's the best way to hide bezels is by making them black. But if you've got them in bright white, then they really stand out, okay? And I am not too keen on those. And I don't know why Apple has done it for the iMacs, which, again, I'm not a fan of the front. I think the design and how small, I don't even mind the chin that much. I'll be honest with you. I don't mind that chin that much. It's just those white bezels. What is with white bezels? Can you please shine some light on this? Please tell me why.
I have no idea. It's whoever is designing this design choice. It reminds me of, remember when John Ivey was there, he made some design choices that I thought were foolish, but again, it's about kind of going with what you're going with, and yes, it's a rumor, but because it's available on the iMac shows a trend of what they're going to do for their next design language. And it's really going to showcase that the display looks really small. On the iMac, it's fine because it's a bigger display at 27 inches, right? I believe is the iMac, or is it 27?
23 and a half
24,
right now.
23 and a half.
Yeah.
okay, that will make it look smaller, but it's still passable. But on a laptop, it's going to make it look even smaller. I'm using my Surface laptop 4 here, and as you said, I was looking at. I noticed the bezels. This is the first time I noticed the bezels because you said white, and I looked at mine. And I'm like, the only white I could see is the silver around the chin of the display. So it's going to make it look smaller, and I think it might have an adverse effect. I don't think it's going to last for more than a year. And I don't think the Pro models are going to be white.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like, sorry, you were saying because.
No, I said because, Pro users and that market is a market that Apple had. They kind of lost the market, and a lot of people are waiting to come back because of the M1 chip.
So here's the thing with the Pro models, obviously you have the more elegant looking devices and stuff, and the fact that we've got all of these different colors, because if you look at the iPads, right, the regular iPads, you've got all of these different color options. If you look at the iPad Pros, you don't have all of those color options because they're for the Pro user. Pro users don't necessarily want all of these funky colors, but if you're looking at the general user, you want to give them a bit of variety, you want to give them these options. Again, if we look at the iPhone 12 series, and then if you look at the iPhone 12 Pro series, you've only got some more of the elegant colors, I would call them, right? So you've got a few different color options, but they do look quite elegant. But then you've got all the funky, bright colors on the iPhone 12s. In the same way, we've got the iPads, we've got the iPad Pros, and then the iPads are the ones with the colorful versions. The iMacs as well. I think when we get the iMac 27-inch version, it's not gonna be in all the funky colors. And again, the MacBook Airs are not necessarily for Pro users. Yes, some Pro users might kind of get away with using some of them, but generally speaking, a MacBook Air is for the mass user, right? It's one of their most popular laptops, and it's something that university students, college students, people in the family, they'll be using those kind of devices, which is why having those different funky color options really makes sense. But I'm still not a fan of the white bezels. I think they should still reconsider that if there's some time to do that. But again, we're still a few months away. It also looks like we've not got a tapered design. So right now, the MacBook has a tapered design, which kind of is thinner on one side than the other. From these leaked renders, it looks like it's flat. So it's not tapered, right? Which means it's going to be super thin, and it's going to be kind of evenly distributed as well. So that'll be interesting to see what they've done with the internals there. But obviously having the new M2 or M1X or whatever chipset that they have will kind of allow them a little bit more playroom to make it a little bit more compact, possibly.
Yeah, it will be. I can't wait to see laptops at the end of the year, because also that's when Intel is releasing its Alder Lake chipset. It's not
Okay.
so. Remember how the M1 chipset or the M series is system on a chip, which means your RAM and all that stuff is on the chip. Intel now I believe the rumor is big little processors on one chip. So not system on chip, but now it's it's very different from their standard design. So we'll see how that competes, because it sounds promising from very early reports that like Intel now, not that Intel has won, but Intel now is coming to play.
Well, they have to. This is the thing, and this is what I love seeing competition, because Apple drops these M1 chips and stuff, and then you're seeing the excitement in the market, and this is like a big leap in the area of laptops and stuff, and obviously that puts pressure on the competitors to kind of answer to that. Like, why should we buy Intel powered instead of just an ad which shows the other stuff? Let's actually put some features and actually show them what we can do with this hardware. So. Interesting time for laptops, for sure.
Yes, indeed. And it's going to be an interesting year in general for computers as a whole.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, like, it's actually been fun because, as much as we enjoy covering smartphones, it's actually been fun looking at a lot of the new hardware on the other side, like on laptops and PCs, and seeing how all of that stuff is developing as well. So, yeah, I mean, I'm like excited to see all of the range that we've got in the market right now.
Same here.
All right, guys, that is all we have time for. Really hope you enjoyed this episode of SuperSaf Speaks. If you haven't already, then be sure to follow us on social media. We post lots of updates on there. And also, if you aren't watching the video version of the podcast, lots of clips also go onto the YouTube channel, SuperSaf Speaks. Really hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks for listening. This is Saf on SuperSaf Speaks with my co-host.
Thunder E from Border Work.
And we'll see you next time.